Nikhil Kant session, we will have the fireside chat with Sujoy Varghese. All right. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you so much, Ashish. Nikhil, if I would invite, so Nikhil is the AVP Marketing of Astrotalk. He is 14 years in marketing, and he's an ex-global social media head of Uber, if I'm right, Nikhil? So yes, Nikhil, we are all waiting for you. Please, take it forward from here. Thank you.
Slides up. That's going to be a really tough act to follow. So I don't think I can do justice to what Ashish just did. So I've just opened my hair, so I'm just going to dazzle you with my beautiful hair. That's what I thought. Till the time the presentation's going up, I'll just do a quick introduction. My name is Nikhil. I've been in marketing advertising for 14 years now. Spent a decade in an advertising agency. Then worked at Uber, looked at their social media across the world. Then worked at a health tech startup, and now I'm in this place called Astrotalk. I don't know if you all have heard of it. So if you all can show me your palms, I can probably tell you your future, which looks very bleak because you're listening to me. But on that note, let's just try and, I don't have videos now. Looking at Ashish's presentation, I think I should have got some videos. You got energy in the room? I'm sure after Ashish's presentation there's a lot of energy. I will try and make as many jokes as I can. I may not be as funny, but at least one will land, I'm very sure. On that note, I'm here to talk to you all about how to build a brand from grounds up. I've been told a lot of you are either working in startups or are running your own startups, and all of you do not give a single shit about building your brand because all you care about is performance marketing. So I'm here to try and change that outlook a little bit. My entire almost 15 years of work experience has been around building brands, both really large scale brands as well as building brands from grounds up where I had zero budgets. And hopefully by the end of this, you all will be a little inspired to kind of look at your brand in a more holistic sense. All in the last 4 years, this is one line that I hear pretty much on a daily basis, that brand building can wait. Right? We right now need to get our money in. We need to run those beautiful performance ads, figure out what our customer acquisition cost is. Who gives a shit about brand building? We'll do it later. Or brand is a cost center. You will only take money, you will produce these beautiful looking films that do not really get us any revenue in return. And essentially just like burning money. Or my favorite, brand building is not for startups. It's only for established organizations like a Coca-Cola, like a Pepsi, or like a KFC. And if I had $1 for every time I've heard this line, I would be driving here in my own Lamborghini. I'm not even kidding. This is something I hear 10 times every day. What is the ROI of branding? How do you measure it? You will create something nice, your brand looks nice and fancy, but what is the return on that investment? And hopefully by the end of this session, I would have answered some of these questions. But when I hear all of this, and when I see brand managers talking about things like these, I just think that's just being fucking lazy, right? And I had first deliberately not written the word fucking, but now I've heard Ashish and I'm like, hey, I can swear on this stage as much as I can. If Ashish is doing it, so can I. But that's just being lazy. If you think that your brand needs money, if you think your brand is not giving you ROI, you're just not doing it correct. Let's be honest about it. The way to build a brand is when you start building it from day one. It's like a baby, right? If you try and teach a baby how to walk when they're 5 years old, they are going to stumble. It's going to take more time. But if you try and teach a baby how to walk when they're 1, they'll walk faster. And that's essentially the basic principles on which a brand is built. And why I'm here, just one slider on what I've done. This is me. I worked on some of the best brands in the world like Coke, British American Tobacco, Sony, and I deliberately got the BJP logo in Kerala because I like to live on the edge, you see. In Kerala, I hope I'm able to take my flight back to Delhi, but I have worked on BJP, and it was awesome, to be honest. But first of all, when you hear the word brand, what do you think a brand is? Right? Anybody wants to answer that? What is a brand? When I say the word brand. Sorry? A message, communication, etc., etc., right? How many people think that a brand is a logo and colors? Like a raise of hands. No, thank God, it's a good audience. When I started brand building, most of the pushback that I used to get from startups was, hey, branding is just a great logo or just colors. But brand building goes much beyond that, right? This is what is called a brand touchpoint wheel. Your brand building starts pre-purchase, goes all the way up to post-purchase. And there are so many different touch points that your brand is getting exposed to in front of your audiences. Right down from the website, from the advertising that you do, from the social media that you run, from word of mouth. Hell, even packaging, point of sale, a welcome kit that you send to your consumers, all of that is brand. Right? And a lot of this does not require money. My favorite thing about brand building is this part. Is when you talk about customer service, is when the salesperson calls you. That's your brand as well. There is a reason why Byju's is basically zero right now. Because when I say Byju's, you think of mis-selling. You think of selling to people who are vulnerable. And that is their brand. They have a beautiful logo. They had goddamn Lionel Messi as their brand ambassador. It can't get bigger than that. But why do we hate them? Because we've always heard that their selling tactics are shit. And that is also a part of brand. And that is how you will need to start thinking about when you're building out your brands. Think from the lowest common denominator. Don't think about that 1 crore film that you need to make. Just the way Ashish showed, right? He's made a film for 7,500 rupees, which is being played at a Whoopi Goldberg talk show. It's insane. And that is how you think of brands. It's about those little communication pillars, those emotions that you drive, and they need to start from zero, from scratch. Again, like a baby analogy. The baby will grow up with the values you give the baby. Right? And that needs to start from pretty much day one. Building a brand, what it does is that it builds relationships. And those relationships, and this is where ROI comes, relationships increase value. You will pay me 5 times extra if I have a brand. And the best example of this is jewelry. Right? My wife is a fashion designer, so she loves lifestyle and fashion and jewelry and makeup. I have to bear the brunt of it, but I'm happy. It's also my anniversary today, by the way. It's our 11th anniversary, and I'm sitting here talking to you all. See how committed I am to Kerala and you guys. I hope I get to go home today. But the fact is, like in jewelry, if I have to go out and buy a bracelet, I'll basically pay gold price for 1 lakh, 2 lakh rupees, I'll get it. But when a Cartier makes the same bracelet, they'll sell it at 50 lakh and you will buy it. Right? That's because that relationship you have with the brand is far higher. They're paying the exact same amount of money for that gold. You're going to pay 20x. That's the premium that brand commands. And one of the best examples of relationship building is this brand called Royal Enfield. Royal Enfield is a brand that people love to wear on their sleeves. People wear jackets. People go to, this is actually a shot from one of the music festivals that they do in Goa, where thousands of people come and basically just show off what they've done to their own Royal Enfields, right? They've spent crores over the years, but the fact is that value that they have been able to provide is that relationship. When you own a Royal Enfield, you're a part of a family. And when you don't own a Royal Enfield, you're just a shitty biker. Nobody gives a fuck about it. Right? And that is the relationship that you will need to build while you're building brand. Also, God knows I hate performance marketing. It's great, but performance marketing and brand building needs to coexist. Look at it from a consumer standpoint, right? When today every ad that a consumer sees, it's usually on their phone. It's on your Instagram, it's on YouTube, it's on your Facebook, etc. Do you think a consumer knows what is a performance marketing ad and what is a brand ad? As a consumer, have you ever thought that, hey, this is a great performance ad by Blinkit, or this is a great brand ad by Zomato? You're not thinking like that. You got an ad from a brand, that's it. That's where a consumer's relationship ends. And if you can make those worlds marry each other, That's where magic happens. And some of the biggest brands in the world have realized that they have screwed up like how by over-investing in performance marketing. Brands like Adidas, brands like Airbnb, brands like ASOS, all of them have rolled back performance marketing expenses now. Because what has happened is, it's become templatized. If I remove the logo and show you 3 ads, one is from Zepto, one is from Blinkit, one is from Swiggy Instamart, I'll put my bottom dollar, you will not be able to tell each other apart. If I remove the logo and basically the colors that signify it, right? They look exactly the same. Insurance is a great example. I tried this, by the way, last time I was in Kerala talking to startup founders, I showed them 3 different ads from insurance players. I had hidden the logo and I told them, anybody who can answer all 3, I will give 1 lakh rupees on the spot. Not one person could answer. And I've tried that with over 1,500 people till date. Not till today, not a single person has been able to answer. That's because there is no differentiation. And hence, what will you do as a consumer? You will choose the cheapest option. You will not choose the best option. You will not choose the option that probably suits your needs. You will basically choose the cheapest freaking option. That's where shit goes down the drain. That is why investing in brand building is important. And when I say investing, don't look at the 30 million number that ASOS has put. You don't need to put the 30 million pounds. But the fact is you need to start thinking and building that brand first culture in your company from day one. And whether you're a B2B company, whether you're a B2C company, whether you're a government enterprise, does not matter. You need to start thinking of brand wherever and wherever you are. And building a brand is absolutely crucial for startups. You know why? Because you have to create differentiation and you have to build trust. Those are the 2 main things you're doing as a startup. And I think it's going to be safe to say that there is no novel idea anymore, right? I'm pretty sure if there are startup founders in this room, and if you think your idea is something that nobody's ever done, you're lying to yourself. There is no original idea left anymore. You're basically doing incremental uplifts on anybody else's idea. You're trying to make a better mousetrap, right? And the way to do that is by differentiation. There is a reason why a sugar cosmetics today is doing so well in India, even being in a makeup category which has been in existence for hundreds of years. Why? Because they're able to differentiate. There's a reason why, and I have some examples of some really amazing startups that are coming up in India, only differentiating on the back of good branding and are able to command premiums. But that's not very dense, right? Your marketing efforts become more efficient if you have a strong brand. Because if you have a consistent brand, if it looks well, if it communicates easily, the chances of a person clicking on your ad are that much higher. You will get better response to your ads. It's basic freaking economics. And most important, I think, is this part. If you have a good brand, as a startup, it becomes easier for you to attract talent. And you will only grow if you have good talent with you. A single person can't win a war. No way. It's never happened in history, it will never happen. I left my job at Uber, by the way. At Uber, I was sitting in San Francisco, cushy fucking job. And I didn't have to do anything, by the way. In a big company, I'm the global head. I was essentially just like telling my lackeys to do their work. And I left that job to join a health tech startup in India, came back. Why? Because their brand looked fucking promising. I thought that they will be able to do something really cool, and they are doing something really cool. And that's the power of building a strong brand. You're able to attract some of the best people to work with you on your cause. And if you get the best people, the chances of success are of course that much higher. And having a strong brand doesn't restrict you. I've heard this a lot, especially from startups. If I make a brand guideline, I'm restricted. I want to try new things. I want to experiment. I'm a startup. I need to be nimble. That does not matter. It does not restrict you. A strong brand gives you direction. It gives you consistency. There's an old saying, I come from the north, so it's a Hindi saying that, and I'm going to translate it in English. Imagine you have a donkey and you leave that donkey out in an open field. That fucker will run everywhere. You have no idea where that guy's going to go. But if you give them direction, then even a donkey knows that A to B is easier. And that is what a strong brand guideline does. It gives your brand a singular direction to go towards. Let's learn from what Ashish showed, right? All of his beautiful, amazingly funny videos, immensely shareable. I follow Ashish on LinkedIn, so I keep following his work all the time. But you see that there is a very underlying common thread. It's for the travelers. That is the underlying common thread. And if you can figure that out, it gives you consistency. It makes your job that much easier because you're not thinking 30 other things. You're just very, very clear that this is what I want to do. And I have a very quick question. You know, there are about 197 official countries in the world. There is one thing common in 195 countries. Can anybody give me that one thing that's common? Not you, you've seen my presentation. What the fuck? Anybody except for that guy. What is one, if I ask you one common thing in 195 countries? Sorry? People? You've gone very philosophical. I'm saying like, say a thing or a
Flags.
boundary. Boundaries? No.
Flags.
This is what's common in 195 countries. A bottle of Coca-Cola. You go to South Asia, you go to Australia, you go to the US, you go to Mexico. You see this red color and you know there's Coke here. The only two countries where Coca-Cola is not officially available is North Korea and Cuba, because Cuba they have sanctions and North Korea hates America. Even Antarctica has an actual Coke dispenser. But imagine, this is the power of a brand. You don't even have to speak the language. You could go to fucking Polynesia and ask for a Coke and you'll get the Coke that you want. Sometimes you just need to point to a red color and they'll give you Coke. Right? That's the power of a brand. And when you're building up startups, everybody thinks of world domination, right? You want to be a player that is seen across the world, and that's where consistency becomes important, right? And that's the beauty of building a brand like this. It has taken them 138 years, yes, but today, look at the value a Coca-Cola has in your household. Look at the value a Coca-Cola has in your life, in your parents' life, in your spouse's life. My wife cannot go to sleep if she does not take like a Coke Zero. It's insane. But this, a brand can become currency. That is the power of a strong brand. And this started from day one. By the way, the guy who invented Coca-Cola, his name was John Pemberton. His brief to his bottle designer, you know the bottle of Coke is an iconic bottle. It's called the Contour bottle. It's a copyrighted design. His brief to his designer was, I want a bottle that if I switch all the lights out, just by touching I can figure out which is a Coke bottle. That was the brief, and this is what they came up with. And this goes to show that you don't need to understand language, you don't need to understand culture, you don't need to understand anything about a country. The only thing familiar wherever you go is a bottle of Coke. It's nothing else, right? And that is how brands create culture. And speaking of brands creating culture, my favorite brand right now in India is this brand called Mokobara. Right? A solid brand is your only moat in cluttered categories. And if you are trying to enter into a cluttered category, don't be afraid. Take that leap. I've seen so many startup founders not basically getting into a category that they're very passionate about because they think it's cluttered. My wife is a fashion designer. She did not start her own brand for the longest time because she felt, hey, there are 100 million fashion designers in the world. What will I do? This is what you will do. This is how you differentiate. Go 6 years ago. 3 brands were there in India when it came to suitcases. American Tourister, VIP, Samsonite. Only 3. They controlled 97% of the market share. And along came Mokobara. What did it do? Just give you sexy designs. And stuck to it. They stuck to it. And they are now differentiated like how. If you are not seen with a Mokobara, you're not a cool kid. Right? That's how it's kind of projected itself. And by tying up with a global phenomena like Diljit, they've just taken that stature to the next level. You think Samsonite did not have the money to do this? Samsonite had 10x more money to do this. American Tourister had 20x more money to do it. VIP had the best distribution that this goddamn country has ever seen. Why did they not do it? Because Mokobara thought of it and then they did it first. And now they've created a differentiated brand. Right? That's your only moat. You know what a good brand also helps you do? It helps you charge a premium even if you're in a commoditized category. This is a brand called Perfora. It's not super famous right now, but it's still pretty famous in the young circuits. And this brand is 2x the price of an Oral-B toothbrush. They're getting that because they've created a brand that people love. That's what a good brand helps you do. A good brand helps you rewrite category rules. Has anybody heard of Liquid Death as a brand? This is probably my favorite brand in the world right now. Liquid Death is a water brand. They named themselves Liquid Death. It's bizarre. They're selling water in a can. They recently released a fridge in the shape of a coffin. They basically embrace death. They're saying, hey, we are going to murder your thirst with this. And this is what a good brand helps you do. It's rewritten category rules because you're only used to selling, being sold water in a classic advertising format. Along came Liquid Death and they said, screw your rules, we're going to do what we want to do. It's right now valued at $1.5 billion, this company, in 3 years. It's insane. And if your brand has a purpose, it's even better. Patagonia is a classic example of building a brand with purpose. Patagonia is a $3 billion company. You know what they do? They create 3 color cut t-shirts. White, black, grey. That's all they do. They have the shittiest looking products. They said we're not going to go into fast fashion, we're going to go into slow fashion, but we're going to build a brand with purpose and people are buying it because they feel connected to them. This is the founder, his name is Ivan Shukna or something. He recently gave away 97% of his shares to an NGO fighting for climate change. A $3 billion company he's given away. That's purpose. If that's not purpose, nothing is. Right? And that's why people buy Patagonia, because they feel that it has an authentic purpose. And millennials, I think everybody knows millennials and Gen Zs are the biggest consuming class right now. They give a shit about purpose. Our parents did not. Right? Boomers screwed it for all of us. We're trying to win it back. And I'm just going to give you some, I know we're very short on time. I also have a flight to catch, so I'll go quick. Some golden rules for building a brand. Everything is brand. Everything. Literally. Your sales call is brand. Your SMS is brand. Your website is brand. Hell, the way you talk to your friends is brand. Your founder putting up on LinkedIn is brand. Everything is brand. So don't think that branding is only TVCs. Don't think branding is only videos. Everything. Zomato built a brand at the start only on the back of push notifications. Those 180 characters they built a $7 billion company on. Right? And Starbucks is a great example. Starbucks is like the same brand spoken everywhere in the world. This cup is exactly the same everywhere in the world. The writing your name on the cup is exactly the same. Welcome to Starbucks is everywhere in the world. Because all of that adds up to building a brand. Second, consistency over everything. Stick to it. It feels boring, I know. But consistency is very, very important. There's a reason why I've hidden the name. Everybody knows which brand it is. From 3 kilometers away, you can see which brand it is. You start getting hungry for French fries from 3 kilometers away when you see these golden arches, right? By the way, these golden arches are also shaped in the shape of a woman's breasts because McDonald's feels that they give you comfort, right? Your mom's breast is where you grew up, and it gives you comfort. That was the thought behind the golden arches, and that's how subliminal they built the brand. And repetition does not spoil the prayer. This is a golden rule one of my bosses told me a while ago. As brand people, as creative people, we get bored very easily. We get bored with our own creations. Every new ad needs to be different. Every new campaign needs to be different. Why? Because a boss asked you, fuck the boss, like Ashi said. Right? Repetition does not spoil the prayer. There's a reason why the same principles, the same traditions, the same values have carried on for years and years and years because they work. Just Do It as a line was written in 1987. It's more than 30 years old. The world has changed from the last 30 years. What has not changed is Just Do It. Nirma, that jingle was written in 1982. It's still being sold in the exact same manner. Right? Amul Girl, 1987 or 88, still as relevant as ever. Things don't go out of style until you want them to go out of style, especially in brand building. And lastly, use AI while it's cheap. Right? This is your superpower as a startup. This is your superpower as a small company that does not have lakhs and lakhs of money to spend. All of these, by the way, that I've put are free tools. Perplexity is your research. ChatGPT is ChatGPT. Namelinks helps you name the brand. Leonardo makes images. InVideo makes videos. HeyGen makes avatars. Adobe Podcast does voiceovers. Creatify does ads based on your website. Suno creates music for you, free of cost. All of this is free. And if you're not putting this to use, you're to blame. Don't blame anybody else that you're not able to create a good brand, or if an agency is asking for 20 lakh rupees, you can do all of this in under $10. In the last 3 months, by the way, I have earned personally on my personal brand about 5 lakh rupees by doing half an hour worth of jobs. Because everything I got AI to do. In fact, literally it makes a presentation also. I did this presentation on my own, but usually my presentations are done on AI. So there is no excuse now to not think about a brand. And branding is as much as a science as it's an art. There are certain things that you need to take care of. You need to have strong visual guides, you need to have strong tone guides, you need to have brand values, you need to have brand personalities. Most important, you need to have internal evangelization. Comes from top down. The founder needs to believe in it, every single employee needs to believe in it. I'll give you one last example before I go. I was in this company called Even, which was basically selling health insurance. And I came up with this thought that, hey, we're in the service of healthcare, we're not in the business of healthcare. And just that little thing changed the brand. Because what we did was we never called anybody a customer, we called everybody a member. And it's a very small thing if you look at it. But we had 20 Google reviews saying that I love the fact that a sales guy called me and did not refer to me as a customer. He said that I'm a member. You see the barrier that I've broken? I've created that relationship. That person trusts me more now. Because I'm not calling them a customer. Because when you call somebody a customer, the whole idea is transaction. You want money from them. Those little things, right? Those little things create all the difference. Again, what Ashish said, nuances, go deep, go deep, go deep. The first ideas are always the worst. It's the 5th, 6th, 7th idea that will come to you, which is great. So yeah, in summary, brand building from day one. Do not put it off for 3 years, for 4 years. No, from day one. Be an asshole about your brand. Building a brand first culture is the only way to differentiate. Find your purpose. Consistency is boring, but you have to embrace it. And everyone in the company is a brand ambassador. I'm just going to give you one final example of this. I had the good pleasure of working on Coca-Cola's entire India brand portfolio for 5 years. I was the creative and media lead for India. And when we got them on, I was sending a legal document to a legal guy because they had to sign some stuff. And I said, hey, I'm very excited to work for Coca-Cola. This was my second day. I was 22 years old. Second day on the brand. The legal guy sent me a message saying, if you don't know how to spell Coca-Cola, don't be on the account. You know why? Because I missed one hyphen. I spelled it C-O-C-A space C-O-L-A. There's a hyphen in the middle. A legal guy was telling me how to look at the brand. That's evangelization. That's the reason Coke is what Coke is. Right? So, on that note, last slide. This is my all-time favorite ad, by the way. Just remember, when the world zigs, you zag. If the world is going left, you go right. Be a salmon. This is a Levi's ad done in 1988 by BBH because they introduced black. And you see there's one black sheep right in the middle of a herd. So don't be afraid of taking the route that other people aren't taking. Yeah, great, you'll fail, but you'll learn. Right? And if you succeed, you're going to create something that is only once in a generation. On that note, that was my time, folks. This is Nikhil. You can connect with me on LinkedIn and Instagram. Thank you for listening to me. I'm sorry I had to wrap this shit. Always a pleasure to be in Kerala. This is a beautiful property. Great event organized by the folks at KSUM. And if there's anything that you all want to ask, I'm always available on LinkedIn or Instagram. Happy to take any questions. Thank you. And I hope to see some really cool brands coming out of Kerala soon.
So thank you so much, Nikhil. Thanks for sharing this wonderful information. So on behalf of Kerala Startup Mission and from our sponsors, we have a small token of appreciation for you. If we can